It ain't easy being a man these days. Hard to even say for sure what a man is. A provider, a lover, maybe even a hero. One thing's for sure. A journey towards being whatever a real man should be doesn't need to be done alone. The Gentlementor are here to help you navigate that, so you never have to go alone.
Okay, all right. Let me get back over here to the screen. Okay, we're ready. 25 minutes on the timer, and here we go. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Gentlementor podcast. We're so excited that you got to hear a little rock and roll, little country music there, and the riding horses and the the guys welding stuff on our intro. And Sam, Elliott,
one of the saddest,
so
and I can't find that intro disappointing. It's so beautiful, and it still feels like way outclasses what we've got to offer. One of the saddest things to me is that one dude that wrote the comment never came back and explained what he was talking about. He didn't sound like he didn't like it. He was just like, it was funny and weird, and I'm like, I didn't see what was funny and weird, but I'd love to hear. I love funny and weird.
Yeah,
Big fan of funny and weird.
Well, I mean, the whole idea is we don't want you to have to go alone.
Yeah.
We're guys. We got to hang out together. We do that. And that's what we are. We're just a couple of guys hanging out here, chit-chatting it up, hopefully offering up something that you can use. And hey, most importantly, just remember, it's free.
Word up.
I don't know where you can get this
Welcome
quality
to the
of
Gentlementor. It's free.
It's free. Yeah, I mean, that's enough
Driving
said,
to work,
right?
taking a dump, Gentlementor.
It's free.
We got you covered.
We're all about change. We're all about helping you changing the things in your life that you want to change, navigating the things in your life that you unexpectedly had to endure. And
the previous episode.
That's something else. Yes. Check back the last episode. You might want to hear some things about it.
Difficult changes you had to endure, and then the internet went out, and it was yet again another difficult change you had to endure.
It was.
But we
were
endured
not
it together.
that.
We came back.
Yeah.
We tried to make sense of something and make it like a episode-y kind of feeling.
But in the last episode, we were kind of gearing up. We kind of just impromptu jumped into that episode and not prepared for anything. And then you mentioned something about in your back pocket, and I said I want to dig in your back pocket. And then we started off about you started counseling me a little bit. So now I want to get back to your back pocket, Doug. What is in your back pocket that you want to talk about?
Come off as counseling you. I was taking what you said.
I thought you comforting, counseling.
I hope
affirming.
I hope I was affirming you. I hope you felt affirmed in it. I do. I felt bad because I'm like, I not affirm Mark's suffering. I'm probably trying to think of like, I don't want to remind Mark.
No, and it's not that. Going back to that episode, it's not that. It's having someone on the outside, because you're in the, if you've got those concentric circles of friendship, you're on that inside circle, that very small circle. You're on there. And then you've got the bigger circle of people. Yes. And then you've got the bigger circle. Then you got the people that you keep those concentric circles. And these were someone that were not so close on the concentric circle that were able to peer in a little bit and see something was going on. And that's what made it feel, I guess, different than having your affirmation each and every week, which I am grateful for, believe me. So anyway,
wow, dude, that really sucks.
Into your pockets. Let's go. Let's dig around in your pockets.
You want a drink? That sucks.
I've got. You want a drink? Yeah,
there's affirmations. Daily affirmation with Doug. Wow,
yeah,
that sounds terrible. Do you want a drink?
I feel you. Let's drink.
You want somebody to drink with? That's what I can do. I may not have great words, but man, can I drink with you? Yeah. So I've been thinking like the last week or two. I'm like, there's like a big money topic that we need to cover if we're talking about change.
Okay.
Because there's one thing, man.
Are we going to ask for money? Are we taking up an offering for this?
We're not, because we don't do that. But if we were going to take money, this would be the one. This would be the one we could get money for this, because the one thing everybody really wants to know and are afraid to ask about change is, yeah. But how do I change somebody else?
Oh.
So this episode will hopefully be titled, How to Change Other People.
How to Change Others.
Yeah. So we can drag and draw this out for as long as we want to before we get to the answer, or we can just give you the answer up front. And there's actually more than one answer. Not very many more than one answer. But I
Okay.
had someone ask me that once, like in the recent, not too recent past, someone we both know, and we were having a conversation, and I'm like, "Well, that's easy. You know how to do that, right?" And they go, "Well, you can't do that." And I'm like, "See, you already knew."
Hmm. But
Because you
can you?
can't. Well, and I can't quantify this in any other way other than through my own expertise in living around and looking at people for the last couple of decades. And my perception of it is this: the more you want to change someone, and the harder you try to change, the more counter the result will be. In other
Yes.
words, the more you try to change someone, the harder they will become to change.
They become resilient to
They
change.
will
Yeah.
resist everything. And if you work extra hard and do a really, really good job, you'll come out of it being the enemy of that person.
Ooh,
That
that's so
whole
good.
thing will turn around on you and they will begin to see you as the problem. And so the big thing, I think the first step in changing another person is realizing that you don't really know what's best for them. And that even if you do, you don't have any right to enforce that in their lives.
That's true.
So step one of
That's
changing
true.
another person is get over yourself. That's my best advice I can give you. I'm here to
Well,
like cut through
because
the crap, nuts and bolts. Let me help you out. Do you want to change another person? Then you're probably the problem.
yeah,
Now,
because wanting to change someone else means that we know better, or that we know more than they do,
now we got to
and
stop. We got to stop because this is man. Take a deep breath moment. This is we've talked from the very beginning about the first step in change, and the first step in change is self-assessment. And
hmm
take one deep breath. If you're listening, if you can hear the sound of my voice, and I'm not doing an altar call, with every head bowed and every eye closed, just think about how many times you wish if they would just listen to me, if they would
yes,
just do what I told, if they would just listen to some common sense. Because every one of those is one of those times when what you
hmm
knew was better than what they knew. And I don't count. Let me take
hmm
young children, teenagers off the table, under 30 off the table.
okay,
Not enough life experience to know what you're
agreed,
talking about.
agreed.
Okay,
We're talking
this is
peer. We're talking
adults.
peer
Yeah,
relationship,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Especially peer
Adults, yeah.
relationships. Yeah, but especially adults, because that's where you encounter it. We power trip. We power trip so hard and feel
Yeah.
like if people would just and oh I know you no I don't yes you do somewhere down inside you felt that way but I felt that way about lots of people if they would just do what I told them to do then and just tie yourself up in a
Because
knot.
we think we have experience.
I know
But the
better.
problem is, right, we think we know better because we've experienced that. But the problem is, everybody's experience, even with the same thing, is different.
Because
My
we're all
experience with my
human
father's
beings.
death
Yeah, man.
is completely different than your experience with your father's death.
Word.
It's completely different. So for me to tell you,
Polar.
Doug, your problem is this. And I love that's one of my things on a t-shirt that I think that you quoted that I think is the greatest thing ever. And I would love to have this on a t-shirt. And that was your problem is you don't know what your problem is. And I think that's what it comes to because we think we've got so much experience and we thought,
Yeah.
let me tell you what your problem is. No, you don't know what their problem is.
One
And
of
I
one
think we'll
of
go back to that. We can go back to last week that it comes down to affirmation. If you just acknowledge, hey, yeah, you've got a problem and I'm going to be here for you, that maybe that's enough. Anyway, go ahead.
no the dumb thing that probably everyone's mother or grandmother said at some point when you're growing up about how you always see in other people the things that you dislike about yourself.
Exactly.
Man, that is true. And when
Yeah.
you're complaining about this person who irritates you and galls you and just they just listen because you're talking about you. So if you want to change someone else, get over yourself and
For
change
sure.
you. But
Yeah.
but but wait, there's more. Now, luckily, I have life experience because I don't have much else. And I've learned through a lot of bad mistakes, a lot of wrecked relationships, man. And it's bad. Like you start to try to think you're going to change somebody and you're going to tell them and you're going to fix them, and then they turn on you and that. Make the mistake of thinking like there's friends of yours and they're in a relationship and that relationship's in trouble, so you're going to go in and rescue that. Make that mistake, because then they both turn and you are the enemy. No matter how good-hearted and good-natured, whatever, you will be the enemy if you come at it that way. That's not the way to come at it. There is a way to change people that I think is actually really effective. And the problem is, it's not a guarantee.
Okay, all right. Before you
Slow
get
down,
into
slow
that,
down.
this is a moment. This
Send
is a
in your
moment
money now.
that I think it's very important
1995.
that whatever it is that you're doing right now, that you stop and listen, because there are a lot of people out there right now probably listening going, I need to change this person. I wish they would change this. And you're about to tell us how we can change someone else. So I think we need to take a moment and go, okay, I'm going to listen.
Cleansing breath.
To this perspective on changing someone else. You ready? I'm ready to go.
Oh, that was sneaky.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So we've accepted that we cannot change another person. And there's no guarantee that you can, but the one thing that you can do for another person that will not eventually send them running away from you, if you learn this little trick, you can actually change somebody, but it's not you changing them, it's them changing them. And the way you do that is by shifting their perspective. You can't force it. You can't push it any more than you can push or force any other kind of change. And the guy sitting next to me is the one that started me even thinking about this, because he corrected me a long time ago about even praying about people, that people will change, because that's manipulation. It's like a spiritual force.
Witchcraft.
Like witchcraft you're using on people.
Yeah.
You may not be saying a spell, but the intention is kind of the same deal. I want you to do what I want you to do. That's not how free will works. But what you can do is try to help people see things in a different way. That's what a perspective shift is. They're looking looking at a problem down this tube. So what you want to do as their friend, and this is where affirmation is such a powerful tool, because if they think they're not alone, and if affirmation allows you to come alongside them without actually suffering anything, you're just kind of along for the ride, they can open their perspective and take, hey, one of the things that may or may not, you don't want to say, this is, I understand because I've been through this. Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. Offer a broader perspective without pushing. Don't push. Every push you push will come back at you 3, 5, 10,000 fold.
Oh, yes.
Just more resistance. Don't ever push. It's kind of like they used to explain judo. You're using someone's momentum against them.
Yep.
Oh,
yes,
well,
if only Zach were here to teach us about the jujitsu of using someone else's.
Yeah, he'd love it.
momentum.
He'd jump right in there. But basically,
Yeah, he would.
you're swinging the curtain open so they can get a little bigger view of things.
Yep. That's
And
really
then
good.
they will
really
do the
good.
work. They'll
Right.
make the decision. They'll make the change, and it'll be theirs. It won't be something you tried to force them into, because that'll never work, even if you do manage to talk them into a change. Like you got a overweight friend, I don't know, and maybe you think, well, I'm going to go start getting him, and we're going to go start exercising. I'm going to start doing it. It's a great thought, and it might work for a while. But if that change isn't internalized, it won't last.
That's true.
So this allows that person to internalize the change. They get to make up their own mind, and you don't come off as the pushy person, and they might. It's not a lock. They might make a change. They might make a change that you didn't foresee, because they're allowed to do the math for themselves and take in the factors that matter to them that they need to deal with. Kind of that thing you were talking about we don't know. We think we know, but we don't really know. They can adjust
because everyone's
it.
experience is different. Yeah.
They can turn all the valves and pull the switches. They feel totally in control. All you've done is help them to see, check out, look out this window.
Yeah.
That's all it is one of those moves. Now, that's great. I know we don't like to get hyper spiritual or stuff here, but one of my favorite things is this, and I consider this will be the bonus point. And this is for a special situation for married people.
Ooh, married people.
Because there's nowhere.
I was thinking,
nowhere in your life you'll be more tempted to pray for someone to be changed than in your marriage.
Well, and I was thinking in a parent-child relationship that a parent wants to change their children and change, you got to stop doing this, you got to stop doing that. And that's one, the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking this is perfect for parent and child relationships, especially as they get older, that you present to them perspectives. And I always use the words, the specific words, in my experience, this is what I experienced.
Yes.
And you allow them, like you said, you allow them to correlate that to their experience and process that. And then hopefully they'll make a change. But yes, let's hear it in a husband and wife situation. Go.
For sure. Well, I think this could apply to your kids as well. I wouldn't take it off the table for that. I would just say it's more, that's kind of what we just shared as a practical thing. I'm going to share a spiritual truth.
Okay.
For people that are inclined to spiritual truths.
On any level.
On any level, if you're into Christianity, this will make a lot more sense. If you're not, then it may be a little dicier for you. But
it's okay.
It just is what it's bonus material. You've got all the meat, just a little bit of cheesecake.
Ooh, dessert.
If you're married, the Bible says that you and your spouse are one flesh. So what we as Christians sometimes make the mistake of doing, because it's real easy to stamp a dove on this and go, well, this makes it all right, because I'm not gossiping about you and I'm not trying to change you. I'm just praying that God will change you the way I want you to be. And so that's like, oh, well, you know what that is? It's really just another version. It's the Christian branded version of that manipulation/witchcraft thing. You're just asking God to come in on your side. And then you could get hyper spiritual and you could go, well, I just want to pray that God's will be done. And that's real nice too. But when you're at home with your wife, your will's in there too. It's not just, I want the Lord's will to be done. You got to vote too. It's your marriage.
Yeah.
You get a vote too.
Right.
The thing to do here is not to pray for God to change your spouse, because you and your spouse are one flesh. God's not going to go against their will, but what you can do is this very simple thing and say, God, change me. Because you're one flesh. And if God will change you, then he can work through you to change them. Because it's not usurping their will.
I'm just going to keep nodding and
Am I moving?
Okay, you're back. You're back. Okay.
He's not usurping anyone's will. You've surrendered your will. You're saying, God, change me. But because you're one flesh, he has access to your spouse. And I would say, like I said, I think because it's your kids, they're your flesh too.
Yeah, agreed.
So, but at the same time, like I said, it's just, if you want to take it to the next level, if you want more than practical, you want a spiritual practice, please don't pray that God will change so-and-so, especially not your spouse, because you got a way to deal with that. Yeah. In everybody else but your spouse and your kids, you can say, God, let your will be done. And your spouse and your kids, you can go, God, change me.
Yep.
Make me the person you want me to be. And that gives him like access. They use the phrase backdoor access, back channel access.
Don't say that, especially in a marriage.
I know.
I want to quote the famous theologian, Michael Jackson.
Woo!
Start with a man in the mirror. Be the change that you want to be. Right? Come on, somebody. I want to add one more thing, and I'd like your feedback on this as well, because we've got a few minutes left here, and I just want to add this one thing, because I think this is probably where the frustration comes in, is because we don't see the change right away. Sometimes it takes a very long time, years, decades. But the thing is, when your kids, when your children come back to you, or your spouse comes back to you after a period of time and says, hey, I've been thinking about this, and you know, a lot of times they won't say it. My kids never say it. You're right, Dad. I don't hear that a lot. What I do hear is all of a sudden their thinking coming a little bit more in line with what I thought was wisdom that I gave them, which was wisdom is, and this is a great, I heard this in a song one time. I don't even remember the name of the song. I have to think of it. Wisdom is a combination. No, it's not a Michael Jackson song. It's somebody else. I'm off Michael. But wisdom is a combination of truth and fear. And I think that's just like what wisdom that we give. Now, godly wisdom is something completely different. Biblical wisdom, there's wisdom, there's spiritual wisdom, there's worldly wisdom, whatever. but our wisdom that we give is a combination of truth and fear. And I try to bestow that upon my children. And it's so neat to come back because they never say, you know, Dad, I was thinking about this. We talked about this 6 years ago and you were right. I never hear that. It's always all of a sudden they're starting to move and talk in that direction. I'm like,
way better.
and and here's the thing too. Never. Well, that's what I told you. I told you so. If you just listen to me.
That's so hard.
Terrible
that's
things
so
to
hard.
say.
That's a whole other
things,
episode.
Terrible things to say.
We'll
Terrible
have a
things
whole
to say.
episode, things not to say.
Things not to say. Things you can do in that situation is say, you know what? That is so great. I'm so happy for you. I'm so glad that's working out for you. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. And then you walk away and you drop to your knees and you say, thank you, Jesus, or thank you, whatever, for giving me the wisdom to be able to endure it. But I think, and you mentioned that, I don't remember if that was this episode or the last one you mentioned about love. One of the first things about love, and I think one of the things about love is patience. Love is, and Scripture says that in Corinthians 13, 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient.
That's the first thing it says.
We wait. We offer perspective. We help them see a new perspective. And then we nurture that perspective, I would think. Fertilize it. Water that. We've already planted the seed of change. Water it.
Easy on the fertilizer.
Sorry, I'll get back on that. And we nurture that, and then we see the fruit from it. Because you plant. If you take an apple seed and you plant it, this is stupid. Everybody knows this. You don't walk out the next day and get apples.
What?
You have to wait.
Well, I
It's
see.
a
Choosing
nurturing
farming
process.
for a career was a mistake.
I know.
I should have read up on this first.
I always wanted to write a book called Jesus the Horticulturist. I always thought that he had the incredible, or the Jesus the Farmer. I don't know, because most of his parables, whichever they are, always had to do somehow with farming, planting. So we talked about that. We talked about that last week, or last time we talked. I don't think we recorded last time we talked, but anyway, I don't know if it's going out. We did, but
eventually it will.
Anyway, we talked about how the sower was a terrible farmer because they're sowing seed. And anyway, I just think of the book Jesus the Horticulturist.
I remember that time he killed that tree. That's a good story there too.
That's true.
That's another good farming story.
Jesus cursing the fig tree. Yeah, read that one up on you. There you go.
Yeah, take that fig tree. What are you gonna do about that?
Let me tell you, Doug, this was incredible information. This was great.
It was not. Hopefully it will help at least.
No.
My great kryptonite in life is frustration, and if I can help anyone avoid some of that.
If this is not one of our most watched episodes, I would be very surprised because I really feel like that people feel like they need to change other people. And because we feel it's because of our own selves. And like you said, it's a perspective that we have on ourselves. We look at that and we think, oh, that person's doing this wrong, or this person's doing this wrong. They need to fix that, or I can help them fix that. And wow, that's so self-centered of us.
It's much like the self-deprecating whipping yourself. It's a great way
There's
to
a ditch on both sides of the roads.
Great way to distract yourself from actually taking care of business. Oh man, if I worry about your problems, I don't have to look at mine. It's just that easy.
Shut up. That is so right. You are so right.
I lived there for a
you're
long
absolutely
time.
right.
I know the view.
You are absolutely right. If we focus on other people's problems, we don't have to focus on our own. Man, that's so good. And here's what we find. And this
good and comfortable.
And this it's true. And here's what we find in this situation. And you know I'm right.
Always.
We find that when we help others, we ultimately end up helping ourselves.
For sure.
When we help others see the change that they want to be, or we help others see the change, the perspective that they need to see, we often go, wow, I didn't see that in my own life. And I think that's really the purpose of humanity and one another is being able to offer that perspective so that you can look back on yourself and go, I can fix this about me, or I can change this about me because you've done so well with you. I've helped you with you. Yeah.
Whether it's you or somebody else, it's that investment mentality.
It is. That's it.
You ain't getting
Investment.
no apples tomorrow. You're gonna
Mm-mm.
plant a seed, and then some
Yep.
down the road there'll be a tree. And
Right.
you're not getting
Right.
apples that day. You're gonna have a
Yep.
tree that day.
Yep.
And that tree will take time to grow. And then apples.
Right.
Don't eat the apples the first time you see them. They won't taste good. They're not ready yet.
I've got 2 pear trees planted out in my yard right outside my window here, and they've yet to produce pears. Hopefully this season that they will. But I know that there's only a couple things that I provide, and there's a couple things that I cannot provide that are already provided for them. Soil is one. The soil is already there. Sunlight is another one. But I can provide them water. I can provide those trees a little bit of care to make sure they're not being infested by weeds, grass, bugs, whatever. There's only a few things that I can do. And that's only half the job. But to think about when I get that pear, it's miraculous when I can bite into that pear.
Yeah.
But yet I've only done a
Pears are
little bit of the work. Yeah, I've only done a little bit of the work. That's great. This is good stuff. Hey, and just remember, the Gentlementor, it's free. We're not going to
Bingo,
make you pay for it.
bango.
Thanks for hanging out here with us tonight. I hope that you gained something. I hope there's something you can take away and use this in your life. I hope that there's something you can help someone else gain some perspective. We'd love for you to share this. We'd love for you to talk about this with someone else. We'd love for you to talk about it with us.
Ooh,
Check out our social media.
that sounds
Give
fun.
us some feedback. Give us some thoughts. We'd love to hear from you, guys.
Give us some
thanks so
coupons for
much.
half-price tacos. We're just
Give
glad
us
to
some
see you.
coupons for half price appetizers at Applebee's.
Ooh.
That happens every night, I think. So it's fine. So anyway, hey, we love you. We're here for you. Check us out on social. Like and subscribe. You know, all that kind of stuff that people do because, yeah, we're just here for you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And the bell.
Ding, ding.
Ding the bell.
Ding, ding.